Good evening, this is Antony Carpen here in South Cambridge. I'm here with Mark Slade of the Green Party, and I'm going to be asking him some questions on behalf of the Newnham Residents Association. So let's move over to Mark. Mark, good evening.
Hi, Antony.
So really that's it, the first series of questions. Question number one, what specific actions would you take if elected to deal with the severe shortfall in funding for our schools and also for our social care? The theme being, how can local government get more money to pay for services that the community needs?
Okay, so multifaceted question. Obviously, if I was elected onto the county council, I would be a lone Green councillor, unless we were fortunate enough to win a few more seats in this election. So obviously the amount of power I would have as an individual would be limited. I would seek to work with other parties. Our MP candidate Stuart is a nurse at Adam Brooks, and he's been campaigning very hard, for example, to try and maintain the provision of IVF on the local services through the NHS. So I think as a specific, I'm not clued up enough on health personally. However, I do know the people to turn to talk to, and to work with.
Brilliant. Okay. So moving on to the second question, obviously with the city deal, we've seen a huge number of issues raised really across the city, and not far from here on Hills Road, we've seen delays with the cycling infrastructure put in. So how would you work with residents to achieve better outcomes for people in Newnham? And also, what are your thoughts on the City Deal's Cambourne to Cambridge busway proposals, and also just the level of pollution and congestion we have in Cambridge?
Okay, again, lots of elements to that question, so I'll try and keep it relatively broad. The City Deal was a great opportunity. I said this last year, and I felt that it's taken far too long for us to get to where we are. Whilst we campaigned against having a mayor, there is now an advantage that with the mayor structure about to be implemented, we've got things like the franchising of buses, which is something we would immediately go to the mayor with and say we should franchise the buses. And importantly, when we do, we pay part of that deal that the buses provided must be electric or hybrid at least, because as we've seen in the most recent research, the air pollution in the city is way above where it should be, and the biggest factor within the city limits are buses. So this is something we definitely need to deal with. There was other elements to that question.
Yeah, I'm thinking about both how the City Deal schemes have been delivered, and specifically on the Cambourne to Cambridge busway proposals, given the local opposition.
Oh, because that goes through the Westfields, which is obvious. Yeah, I feel. I mean, I'm going to be completely frank here. I don't think Cambridge necessarily needed this investment. I thought this investment would be better used elsewhere in the country. And I feel that we've been kind of forced a bad hand here, because the deal's forcing us to spend the money as quickly as we can. And actually, some of the best options being put out there, and it's something we're hopeful the mayor will look into, as they will have this power and clout to bring in different sources of investment. It doesn't just have to be the City Deal money, where we could look at cross-country trains, linking up Haverhill down to St Neots. I know the Lib Dems have spoken and proposed about a light rail, and I think that's something that's worth looking into. So yeah, I don't think any plan that requires us cutting down trees and smashing through the green belt is really the option we need. We actually need to develop across the region, and to be honest, I think all this emphasis on the City Deal and having to get short, snappy results, I think that money should be then focused on things like cycling infrastructure, which can deliver quick and necessary results and encourage people out of cars and onto bikes. But like I said, I think a lot of this now is going to be moving away from the City Deal and moving towards the new mayor, franchising buses and looking for investments, which is why we're very hopeful that the Tory doesn't get in. Excuse me for being so partisan, but their plans are all about building more and more roads, and I'd like to see that invested into rail instead. Okay.
And the final question really is about the attributes of a councillor. I was at a hustings recently, and the chair, the Reverend Bruce Haldren up in Sawston, said standing for public office through one of the most probably abused roles in the in human existence. What in in the world persuaded you to think, yeah, I'm going to stand for election? And I think in particular, how would you enable local residents to engage in those decision-making processes, and in particular, young people as well, also, kind of like mindful of your party's profile?
Well, I mean, that's actually why I'm standing. I feel that, well, firstly, I think it's very important that we have green voices on all levels of government, and that's why I think it's important that we're standing in the general elections, why it's important we're standing in the mayor elections, even though it was not a structure we supported at first. It frustrates me that there is no green voice on this county council, and there's no green voice, well, there's only one green voice at the moment on the city council, and we clearly need that, because as we've seen in Parliament with Caroline Lucas and how she's managed to alter the debates, how we've even seen in our city council with Oscar being able to alter the debates. You just have to look at the original proposals coming out of the city deal about just creating more bus lanes, cutting down trees, widening roads. Looking at the mayor the mayor candidate who's proposing to just expand the M11, which, as we know, expanding roads doesn't solve the problem. It just makes more people want to get and use that road because they now think it's a road worth using. So I think it's important to have the green voice heard, and quite loudly. And I think Cambridge has that. It has the will, not the will. It has the support. The Green Party has the support. It's just about we need to now be getting more politically active, which is what we were seeing over the last couple of years. And another reason for me is, like you said, there are not enough young people in politics. I'm only 27. I feel I've done a lot, and I've got a lot of experience. I run my own business. I've lived in Russia for 3 years teaching English. I've got experience. I feel I can bring a lot to the debate. I might not be necessarily clued up on all the issues, but I have a great team behind me who will always help me make the right decisions. And in terms of reaching out to the community, that's one of the things I don't think the current council does particularly well, is reaching out to young people. And I think part of that is you look at the council and it's predominantly an old person's game. So I think having some young faces in there, bringing energy there, trust me, I'll be in the county council given its makeup. Sure I'll be there.
And really, and my final question, really to you, is if people want to ask you more questions and find out more, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, I'll be knocking on doors over the next couple of weeks, and more so actually after this election, because the general election campaign is going to be kicking off. If not, email, phone, it's all accessible on my Facebook. Drop an email to contact@greenparty.org.uk. I'm the coordinator for the city, so I receive all emails anyway.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thanks, Antony.
Okay. Thank you very much.